ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। प्रज्ञां सुप्रदानैः स्थिरचरनिकरैः व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् सविष्टान् पुनरदिदिशनोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वविधिमुदरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नो मायासङ्ख्यं तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। यो विश्वात्मा विदिजविषयान् प्रास्यभोगान् स्तविष्टान् पश्चाश्चान्यान् स्वमिति विभवान् ज्योतिषा स्वेन सूक्ष्मान् सर्वानेतान् पुनरभिशनैः स्वात्मनि स्थापयित्वा हित्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् विगतगुणगणैः पात्वसौ न तुरीयः। The Mandukya Upanishad. Om ityetadaksharamidam sarvam tasyopavyakyanam bhutam bhavishyatiti sarvam omkara eva yachanyat trikaladidam tatapyonkara eva sarvam hetad brahma ayamatma brahma soyamatma chatushpad jagaridasthano bhiprajnah saptanga ekona vimshati mukha stulabhuk vaishwanara pratama padaha स्वप्नस्थानो अंतप्रज्ञा सप्तांगो एकोन विंशति मुखः विविक्तभुक् तैजसो द्वितीय पादः यत्र सुप्तो न कंचन कामं कामयते न कंचन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूत प्रज्ञानगण एवम् आनन्दमयो आनन्दभुक् चेतो मुखः प्राज्ञस्तृतीय पादः एष सर्वेश्वर एष सर्वज्ञ एष अन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवप्ययो हि भूतानाम् न अंधप्रज्ञं न बहिप्रज्ञं नोभयदप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानगणं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञं यदृश्यम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेशम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः सोऽयमात्मा आद्यक्षरम् ओङ्कारम् अधिमात्रं मात्रा पादाश्च पादामात्रा अकार उकारो मकार इति जागरितस्थानो वैश्वानर प्रथमा मात्रा आदिमत्वात् आप्नोति हवै सर्वं कामान् आदिश्च भवति य एवं वेद स्वप्नस्थानो तैजस उकारो द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वात् उत्कर्षति हवै ज्ञानसन्दतिं समानश्च भवति न अस्य ब्रह्मवित् कुले भवति स एवं य एवं वेद सुषुप्तस्थान प्राज्ञा मकारस्तृतीया मात्रा मितेरपीतेर्वा मिनोदिह वा इदं सर्वम् अपीतिश्च भवति य एवं वेद अमात्रश्चतुर्थो अव्यवहार्यः प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवः अद्वैत एवमोङ्कार आत्मैव संविशति आत्मना आत्मानं य एवं वेद. So that is the Mandukya Upanishad 12 mantras. Last class we stopped samsiddhiki swabhaviki sahaja akrita cha ya prakriti seti vitneya swabhavam na jahatiyah. Samsiddhiki, samyak siddhi, that means what has been accomplished or acquired with special means. Then swabhaviki, by inherent properties. Sahaja, by inborn qualities. Akrita, which is not created. All these four forms, yas, which are the swabhavam, which is becomes the swabhavam or intrinsic nature of or prakriti of anything. This is the four way in which prakriti is being defined by the traditional way. Prakriti is akrita, that which cannot be created, because what is created can be lost. Sahaja means what is born along with it. That is the nature of by which it is by birth itself, that qualities are inherent qualities are there in that person. That is called sahaja. Swabhaviki is by inherent nature. Inherent and inborn are different. Inherent are the qualities which are not exposed all the time, but it is available as inherent in it. It may not be expressive in nature, whereas what are inborn can be seen always. And samsiddhigi is specially acquired during the creation, and after the creation, when it is being acquired by special means of either by accomplishment. The four examples are the supernatural powers of the siddhas or the yogis, and tapasvis who acquire animadi ausharyam, or we can even say that that accomplishment which has been done by individuals, which becomes their second nature in their lifetime. The second one is which is called the inherent qualities or the intrinsic nature of the object, like the heat of the fire, heat and light of the fire. But the light need not be seen. That is why it is called inherent. But the presence of heat is indication of the presence of a light which is yet to be, expressive in nature. And then there is something which is by birth itself, like for example, the qualities of fish to fly, survive in water, birds to fly in air, or amphibians to live both in land and water, etc. These are all qualities by birth itself. And the natural tendency, akritas, which are that it is not created, or what is created will be always subject to laws. But natural laws like the water flowing due to gravity to lower areas, these are all what is called that akrita, which is these are all the natures in which it is being divided. So these are all the qualities which are of the prakriti, and that can never prakriter anyato bhavo na katanjit bhavishyati. Once these qualities are being shown by any object or any creation, it remains during the lifetime of the created one. Then goes to the 10th verse, where it is says, Jara marana nirmuktaha sarve dharma swabhavataha jarana maranam icchantaha chivande tat manishaya. Jarana marana nirmuktaha. No, sarve dharma. Dharma here means all jivas. So it is not the dharma meaning here. Dharma here it stands for the jiva. Sarve dharma means all jivas. Swabhavataha, by nature, by their intrinsic quality, jarana marana nirmuktaha. They are free from birth and death. They have no birth, no death. But if manishaya tachivante, if somebody regards that I am born, therefore I will have death, therefore they are called marana jana maranam icchandaha. Those who desire that they are born and their death is because they think they are associated with the body which is created, and therefore the jana marana of the body, the growth, the shadvigaras, janma, asti, vriddhi, parinama, which apakshaya, vinasham, that is birth, existence, growth, then transformation, decay and death. These are the 6 forms of transformation of a body which has been created. So if you associate with the crani created body, the physical body, basically here is referring to that, but it is only the mental imagination of, because of the association of the body, that I am the body, we feel that we have a birth and a death and that's all. That is because of Chevante tat manisheya, because they regard themselves as that by intellect or by thoughts. And verses 11 to 13, next three verses, are to be taken together for understanding. Here, Gaudapada is refuting the standpoint of Sankhya and Nyaya and Vaisheshika. The two powerful theories that talked about is Asatkaryavada of Nyaya Vaisheshika and Satkaryavada of Sankhya Yoga. Asatkaryavada is what is the Nyaya, that is the two, between the two. Asatkaryavada is weaker because it has no real potency to challenge. And Satvadya between them is the stronger, which is the one which I'll explain both of them separately. And Asatkaryavada is for example, Asat means there is no cause for it. When a bangle is created out of gold, a non-existent bangle is born or a non-existent bangle is created. Is it possible? No. The existent bangle need not be created because the goldsmith must create a bangle which is separate and independent. But that non-existent bangle alone is nothing but the existence of the gold. Sat, Asat. So the Karya, Asat Karya means there is no creation of the Karya. Therefore it is Asat Karya. A non-existent bangle originates from an existing gold. In this theory, what is logical fallacy is the question is that there are no, it is against the yukti, logic, and there is nowhere in the Shruti that it is being accepted by the Shruti doesn't accept it. And why is it against the logic? Because a non-existent bangle, if we say apart from the gold, an existent gold cannot create something which is non-existent. But when we say gold itself is the bangle, that is not Asatkaryavada. Please understand that. What is Asatkaryavada or non-existent bangle is from create, as per the Nayayika, they say that the bangle is non-existent because what is existent is only gold. Therefore, bangle is non-existent is what they say. And that is not logically right as per the simple logic, as well as Shruti also. There is no supporting statement for it, because from something which is existing, only what is existing can come. From existence, only existence can come. So if the gold is existent, what has come out as the bangle is also existent. Whether it is Karya Karana or cause and effect, that we have to validate separately. But you cannot say from an existent gold that non-existent bangle has come. But in the case of Satkaryavada, the non-existent bangle never comes to be existence because nothing new has been created. This is what logically seems to be more valid. The bangle is something which is coming from the existing gold, and nothing new existing, non-existent bangle can never come out of it, and nothing new has been ever created. The bangle was already existent in the gold, but it was not being visible. Therefore, the goldsmith does not create the bangle was already existing in the gold. So there is no there is no creation of a even existing gold bangle. It was present in the gold itself as existence, but the gold bar and the gold bangle are not two different things. The question is if the bangle is already existent in the form of gold, then why should the goldsmith create the bangle? Well, then what do we mean by the creation of bangle is really not a creation, but it's only a transformation, because the gold in the form of, or the mud in the form of a lump has become a pot. That is a transformation of the lump form to a form of the pot. Is a transformation or modification of the previous substance into a new configuration. This new configuration is the name and the form of the apparently new object. But there is nothing which is apparent and separate from the first one. The gold and the bangles are one and the same substance only, or the mud and the pot is only one and the same substance only. The creation here is only transformation, or what you call parinama. The transformation from the lump and the gold into a bangle form is what is called, in the case of transformation or parinama. In Satkaryavada, nothing is produced. As per the Sankhya philosophy, nothing is produced new, and the creation is thus only a parinama. Now, since nothing is produced, Karanam and Karyam are essentially one and the same substance in two different names and forms. The tree coming out of his seed is not a creation. It's only a parinama or a transformation from the unmanifest tree becoming manifest, because the tree was present in the seed in an unmanifest form. So the Sankhya says that similarly the world has originated due to parinama or the transformation as a cause. The world was appearing in the kriya or the karya of the world was present in the karana of the Ishvara or the Prakriti. The Sankhya says Prakriti. The world is not produce something, but it's only a transformation cause, which was in the form of a Prakriti in the previous condition. The world has been produced by transformation from its cause, which is Prakriti, which is existed before, and the cause and the same of the world, but not in the form of world, but in a different form as Prakriti. Prakriti, the whole world is created or is a transformation from Prakriti, is what is the take by the Satkaryavadas, and they also call it as a Parinamavada. And how does they say that? In the 11th verse they say that, and Gaudavada is challenging that. Karanam yasya vai karyam karanam tasya jayate jayamanam kadam ajam bhinnam nityam kadam tat. Yasya karanam karyam, for whom the cause is identical with the effect. That is because the parinama, both karya and karana are not two independent things, but it is the same thing appearing as another thing. Tasya karanam jayate, the cause is born from him. Now, how can you use the word form created jayate from the karyam? Jayamanam kadam ajam, then how can the originating entity be from the unborn? Tad bhinnam kadam nityam cha. How can it be different from the eternal thing? Here we have to ask the Sankhya that the nature of Prakriti is what? Where did the Prakriti come from? Now you say from Prakriti the world has come. Now the Sankhya answer is that Prakriti being Moola Prakriti or the original cause, it cannot come from somewhere, because that is the Moola or that is the substratum or the basis, and it is without a beginning, therefore it is Anadi. It doesn't have a Adi, or it is not created. The Prakriti is that in the beginningless state. From that the world is coming out. It has been there as Prakriti always, and then the question should become, then if the Prakriti is there as Anadi or from the beginningless indivisible, is it destructible or not? The Sankhyavari says that the Prakriti cannot be destroyed, because if Prakriti is destroyed, subsequent creation is also cannot happen. Therefore, Prakriti is only Parinama in the form of a world or a transformation in the world. So, therefore, the destruction of the Prakriti is not happening, and the Prakriti cannot be destroyed, even though it is appearing, it is coming, transforming into the world format. Therefore, Prakriti is Nityam. According to the Sankhya-vadi, Prakriti is Anadi, Anandam and Nityam. Now, Anadi, Anandam, Nityam of Mula Prakriti is what is evolving into creation. As that logical fallacy is not understood when these type of words are being used, no? Anadi, Anandam, Nityam and all. There is a logical fallacy hidden in that statement. That alone is what is being said in this verse. If Prakriti is Anadi, Anandam and Nityam, that is beginningless, infinite and eternal, it will not be subject to any change. It will be like Brahman. Then what you say Prakriti is not different from what we say as Brahman. You say no, Prakriti is different, Purusha, Atma is different, that multiple Atma is there, and when multiple Atma transformed into Prakriti, each Atma associated with Prakriti becomes a Jiva. This is how Sankhya talks about it. Then how can the Prakriti has to be Anadi, Anandam and Nityam? Then Prakriti has to be Nirvikalpam or Nirvikaram. If that is Anadi, Anandam and Nityam, then it is Nirvikaram, because Vikaram, the transformation is not possible. That is the fallacy in your statement. Then how can it evolve in itself into the universe and undergo the change of transformation into become the world? Therefore, there is a fallacy in your statement that Prakriti cannot be Anadi, Anandam, Nityam, yet become the world by transformation. The Parinamavada, what you are talking about, is what Gaudapada is challenging in the 11th verse. In the 12th verse, he is taking on the second fallacy of the same thing. Karanat ananyatvam yad. Karanat ananyatvam ataha karyam ajam tava jayamanat hi vaid. Karyat karanam te kadam dhruvam. Karanat ananyatvam yad. If the non-difference, that is of the effect and the cause, from the cause is accepted, then tataha karyam ajam tava. Then your karyam, the effect of yours, will become unborn. Ajam, what we are talking about. Jayamanat karyat hi vai, because if the cause is not different from the effect which is born, te karanam kadam dhuvam, then how can it be eternal for you? If there is a karyam and karanam separate from that, then one has to be limiting the other. There cannot be eternal for the karyam, karanam, and kadam, how can it become this thing? So in the 12th verse, what Gaudapada is actually taking is on their fallacy is that according to Satkaryavada, karanam and karyam are essentially the same. They say that both the cause and effect is nothing but the same. The cause itself is appearing as effect. One and the same substance is called karanam in the prior condition and karyam at a later condition. The conditions are changing, but the substance, the karyam, is the same thing. Now, for example, an iceberg melted into water, and the same of water is called karanam. When it solidifies, becoming an ice liquid. If the ice cubes are produced from water, then list karanam and karyam. They are not separate, both are in water. Thus, they argue that both are different conditions, but the substance is the same. So Gaudapada is not accepting that. That is not the way in which you have to accept the world, because he want to prove that Ajati, there is no real creation is being. What all these things are being is being taken by Gaudapada in stage by stage. If Prakriti is a Karanam and Prapancha is a Karyam, so Prakriti and Prapancha are essentially the same substance, which means the essential nature must be one and the same. He is asking, Gaudapada is asking this Sankhya saying. According to the Satkaryavada, Prakriti is Ajam and Nityam, unborn and eternal, and the world is Jadam and Anityam. How can this contradictory thing that the cause is unborn, eternal, and the world is, Jadam and Jatam, let us say born, unborn and born, what is eternal and this is Anityam, is ephemeral. Now the question can become then, if both Karyam and Karanam are not different but only conditions are different, then how do you say that these differences, how do you justify these two? But what he said is that Prakriti is Ajam and Nityam, whereas the Prapancha is Jadam and Nityam. Thus Karya Karana Aikya, or the equation between the Karya and Karana, cause and effect, does not tally, because they become two different things, because one is Ajam, one is unborn, other is Jatam, which is created, and the cause is eternal, and therefore you say the world is Anityam because it is Kshanabhanguram, or it is only for a limited period of time. So these two things is the second fallacy of it. So then he takes on to the third and the fourth fallacies are together taken in the 13th verse. Ajado jayate yasya drishtanda tasya nasti vai jatascha jayamanasya na vyastata prasajyate. Yasya ajatehe jayate tasya drishtanda nasti vai. There is no example for him, for the Sankhya, for whom the effect is born out of the unborn cause. A creation real taking place from a cause, there is no drishtanda. Jata cha jayamanasya na vyastada prasijyate. There will be infinite regress if you accept this one. Word that if the cause is becoming again the cause for another creation, the cause gave rise to a creation, and then that creation is the cause for the subsequent creation. If this parampara, or if this series is being continued, then it is there will be an infinite regress, and which cannot be accepted. How does we can explain this? The fourth and fifth, for third and fourth fallacies in the 13th verse is that when logic is used, there should be always an example to prove it. There is no example where there is smoke, there is fire, if smoke is seen in the place, then one say logically there must be fire. This is the logic which we normally use. This logic can be applied because fire is experienced wherever there is smoke. That is where experience that fire is the cause for the smoke. Based on that experience alone, we have developed the idea that there is smoke, and wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That is because we are seeing that effect, cause and effect. That in our experience, every karanam itself is a karyam. As per Gaudavada, what he says that every karanam itself is a karyam. Every karanam that we experience itself is born out of a karanam. This is our experience. That is, the cause is a reason from which an effect is coming. Therefore, the seed is the karanam for the tree, but is a karyam for the karyam by the previous tree. Now, if you take the parampara infinite regress, one tree gives rise to a seed which is a cause again for another tree. So that second tree becomes a karyam. So karanam and karyam beginning. So if the prakriti is karanam, there must be karyam for some previous thing which should be the cause for the prakriti. We cannot accept prakriti is anadi, or prakriti of the Sankhya as eternal, because if you are accepting there is a cause and effect, then only we are talking about. If you are not accepting there is a cause and effect, we have no argument. But if Sankhya says the prakriti is the cause and the effect, prapancha or the world is an effect, then Just as wherever we see fire, fire is the cause and the smoke is a fire, therefore we conclude the cause and the fire relationship. If you are saying that way, Prakriti is the cause and Prapancha is the world, and then Prapancha should become the cause for something else. Or there should be, if you go backward, the Prakriti should be an effect of some other cause. So, if this is the if Prakriti is the Karanam, it cannot be Anadi. That is the fallacy of the Prakriti being Anadi and the world being Jatam. The fourth fallacy which he is bringing is that avoid. So the Sankyas are not ordinary people. They say that Prakriti has got a Karanam. If that Prakriti has got a Karanam, then the Karanam must have a Karanam and so on. So the Prakriti cannot be Moola Karanam. And Satkaryavada is acceptable for creation within the world like gold, bangle and ornaments, etc. But when it comes to Prakriti and Prapancha, the Satkaryavada has got several logical loopholes because of its definition of Prakriti not logically convincing. Because if you are saying tree, seed, tree, or chicken, egg, that's infinite thing. You may say is Anadi is only saying that you don't know who is the first cause for the first chicken or the first egg. But you are seeing it from an intermediate period, and there you are seeing the cause and effect. But you cannot pinpoint that Prakriti, which is your pet idea as Prakriti is the Moola Karanam, which is Anadi, and from there this Karya Karana Srinkala or the chain of cause and effect is coming out. But the first one doesn't have a cause. How can it be accepted? That is not logically convincing, is it? Therefore, both Satkaryavada and Asatkaryavada have got logical fallacies and it doesn't stand the logic. Both are wrong. And the world, therefore, Gaudapada affirms again, therefore the world has never been created. The world has never been created and it is not there. Then what has been created? He says nothing has been created. Who says there is a creation? All three theories of creation are wrong because creation has really not happened. Ajatam, that is the only reality. In all the condition, Brahman is the only reality or Brahman Turiya is the only reality. It has never become a world. That is what he is insisting on that. So in the 14th verse, he says that Yesham Hedo Phalam Adi Hedoradi Phalam Yesham Adir Hedu Phalasya Cha Hedo Phalasya Chanadi Katam Taihi Upavarnyate Yesham Hedo Phalam Adi. Some hold that the effect is the origin of the cause. Adi Hedu Phalasya Cha. The cause is the origin for the effect. That is cause and effect. That some of the people here he is going to take on to the Shruti Pramanam itself. He is going to challenge the Vedas itself. In the Veda it is said that some hold means here he is talking about the Vedas. Effect that the origin is the cause and the cause is the origin of the effect. Then how can be a beginningless and the cause and effect can be accepted by them? Now, here onwards we have to, I'll just go through each of the verses and then we will take all of them together. The 15th verse says that Hete hetoradi phalam yesham adir hetu phalasya cha tada janma bhavet esham putra janma pitruryada. Some hold that the effect is the origin and the cause and the effect is the origin of the effect. For them, the birth will be exactly like the birth of the father out of a son. Like here, what he is saying that the father is the cause for the birth of a son. But in their saying that then the origin of the cause and the cause of the origin to the effect. that cause and effect, the effect becomes the cause for the origin. So the son becomes the cause for the father. But if you are taking the shrinkala or the seed, like the chicken and the egg, or the tree and the seed, then it is the fallacy of the Satkaryavada, which we have already refuted. Then comes the 16th verse. Sambhave hedu falor yete bhavishyatavya kramastvatyadaya yugapat sambhave yasmat sambandho vishanavat. Now here there are some in the verses in the Veda, Yugapat Srishti is being told. Yugapat means instant creation. The example given by them is that the moment we wake up, the Jiva is also experiencing the Jiva, the world is also experiencing the world. The world is also experienced. So, both the Jiva and the Jagat, the world and the individual, are created simultaneously. So, if the birth of the cause and effect accepted as the order not found you, and these they are simultaneous, there will be no cause-effect relationship. Then in such case, you cannot say that the cause and effect are the same. And it will be like the two horns of a cow. Example is that both one horn is the cause for the another horn. That cannot be accepted. That was how in the old text they have refuted that. That one horn and both the horns are born simultaneously, so we don't accept one horn being the cause for the other horn to be there. So that way, if you cannot say the birth of the cause and effect is accepted, their order has to be found out. They have to if the cause and effect means it is a time bound thing. You cannot say it is instantaneous. The cause and effect can come out instantaneously, and therefore it cannot be simultaneously. You have to find out what is the prior and what is the subsequent one. That then only we can say cause and effect. The effect cannot be preceding the cause under any culture, not even simultaneously. Then it is not cause, because both cause and effect cannot take birth simultaneously. Phalad udyamana yansan te hedu prasidyati aprasiddha kadam hedu phalam utpadyati dadeshyati. What does it say? Being born out of an effect, your cause itself is not established. How will a cause which itself is not established can be produce an effect? Now this is we will explain this much later with an example. There are 6 fallacies which are being explained in this one. It comes under that. So what does it say? The born out of the effect. The cause has given rise to an effect. Now born out of the effect, the cause is not established. You cannot establish the cause. The mud is the cause. The pot is the effect. So the mud cannot be the cause from the effect, because effect is subsequent and the cause is prior to that. So therefore you cannot say the effect is producing the cause. No, because in some argument they say that we call it as a cause because of the effect we see it in the pot. The ornaments are seen as an effect, therefore we call it as the cause for the effect ornament, as gold as a cause for it. Therefore the cause name or nomenclature on gold goes because the ornaments are seen as an effect. See, these are all very flimsy arguments by some group of people. They say the nomenclature of cause is born because the effect is a reality, and therefore we attribute the nomenclature of cause onto the cause from which it has taken shape. Therefore the lump of mud, lump of clay, gets the nomenclature of cause for the pot, because pot is a effect and it has got clay in it. So the effect has to have a cause for it. So seeing the effect, we attribute the nomenclature onto the cause. So that is how it is said. Then the 18th sloka, Yadi hedo phalat siddhihi phala siddhischa hetutaha Katarat purvat nishpannam yasya siddhoer apekshaya. Now here is another aspect. Suppose the birth of the cause and cause is from the birth of the cause is from the effect, and the birth of the effect is from the cause. Which one is born first, depending upon which birth is other? So here is refuting the time aspect also. You cannot attribute he is refuting the earlier statement that you cannot say that because you are seeing the effect, you are giving the nomenclature of cause to the mud. So then whether the mud was created earlier, or the cause came earlier, or the effect came earlier, which one will you accept it? So there also you are depending upon the effect to define this thing. So the dependency comes as a subsequent event in time, not before, if you are using this method. Ashakti aparijnanam kramakopa athava punaha evam hi sarvada buddhair ajadi paridipitaha. So your inability to reply amounts to the ignorance of the violation of all these orders. Thus, ajatam, birthlessness, is revealed by thinkers by all means. So Gaudapada is in between in giving his standpoint. Said in any method, if you look at it, there is no way you can define your statements of your inability to the cause and effect. Now this we will see that why it is saying that in the way in the explanation much later, because Bijangara, next sloka is that Bijangura kyo drishtanta sada sadhya samo ihi saha nahi sadhya samo hedu siddhev sadhyasya yujyate. Now the well-known example of the speed and sprout is yet to be proved. An example which is proved is not at all for establishing such a thing to be proved. Man, why does they say seed and sprout is to be proved? Because seed and sprout are not actually really a cause and effect. The seed doesn't remain as a seed the moment sprout is born. The seed cause is totally destroyed. The seed loses its seed status, only what is remaining is the sprout. So a cause and an effect is that to be proved that is a cause and effect, or whether we should go by the Sankhya philosophy, or is it a transformation. The cause and effect is one way of looking at it, or whether it is a transformation is not yet proved, because transformation we have already refuted. The Parinamavada we have already refuted. So the speed and spout cannot be proved as a Parinama, and example which is not yet proved, and that therefore we cannot accept even that. Then in the 21st this thing, Purvapara Parijnanam Ajate Paridipakam Jayamanadhi vai dharmot kadam purvam na grihyate. Purvapara parijnanam ajatehe. The birthlessness ajatehe is due to the ignorance of is being pointed out by the ignorance, because you don't know ajati. Therefore you are refusing that, Purvapara bandham, or the sequential order of cause and effect, because you are not able to see the ajatam or the birthlessness in the prakriya, in the system. Jayamanat hi vai dharmat kadam purvam na grihyate. Then how is it that which exists before the originating entity, how you cannot grasp it, that is not birth taking place, is what is to be understood. The ignorance in order to pointer to the birthlessness. How is it that, which exists prior to originating entity is not known to you? How do you not see the ajatam? Because if you have seen ajatam, then you would not have accepted the sequence of the birth and death. So then to conclude two more verses, he concludes this stand that Swato va parato vapi na kinchit jayate. Sadasat sadvapi na kinchit jayate. There is nothing is born either by itself or by caused by anything other. Nothing is born which is existent, or non-existent, or both existent and non-existent. In all the explanations which examples which you have used, there is no proof that there is anything really taking birth from a cause and an effect is being. Therefore, hetur na jayate anade phalam chapi swabhavatah. Anadir vidyatya yasya tasya hy anadir vidyate. The cause is not born out of a beginningless effect. That statement which we said, the beginningless of Anadi Prakriti, from that there is a cause is not born. Effect is also not born out of a beginningless cause. Neither the cause, Prakriti becoming a cause. Now here the cause and effect, he is not talking about the Prakriti and everything. Here he is talking about the Ishvara and the Karya, Karana, Karma and etc. of the Veda. That is what is in his mind. So that is why there is no way you can effect is also not born out of the original as both are not born. They both are never ever born by themselves also. So for that, which has no cause and effect at all is thing. Now, in these portions from 14th verse to 23rd, Gaudapada points that even the theory of creation presented in the Vedas, that is not ultimately acceptable. The theory of Vaidika Shastra Prakriya, Srishti Prakriya, Vaidika Srishti Prakriya, he himself is a Vaidika and he is in the traditional of gurus. But he has the courage and boldness to say that even the theory of creation that is given in the Veda will not be accepted ultimately, and it has to be appreciated if you really want to know the truth. The truth is even beyond the Vedas. If the Vedas Srishti Prakriya or the methodology of the creation in the Veda is only a what you call, he calls it as a Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya. That is like solving a equation, we add an x into it and then when x becomes 0 you get the answer. That is the prakriya which the Vedas are using for explaining the creation. And if you have really understood the Vedas method of Adhyaropa Apavada, and that prakriya or that methodology, if it is understood clearly, you will know that Vedas are also talking about the same thing only. There is never a creation. The Gaudava contention in the Veda has presented in the 3 is called Adhyaropa Apavada, and which is to be accepted temporarily for the initial understanding and getting out of our clutch of reality to the world of experiences. To get out of that, we need to take this temporarily we take the Vedic method of Srishti Kriya. So how does the Veda talk about the creation? The Veda's method of explaining this thing creation is Karma Karyavada. Karma Karyavada means karma, and Karya is the effect. What is the law of karma? This is what is called, in English we can call it as law of karma. Now here Gaudavada wishes to show that this law, there are 6 logical fallacies with the Karma Karyavada. Karma Karyavada is not really, doesn't stand the logic at all. But accept it temporarily till you get out of your hang-ups on the world of a reality of experiences, and that one should circumspect about these points, and people who are not used to the Vedanta and who are new to Vedanta will find it difficult to digest these statements. Therefore, Gaudapada suggests 6 possibilities explaining, and 6 possibilities as per the Veda, and he refutes all the 6 one by one. Each one of them showing that they are not logically possible. Since all six possibilities are refuted, Karma Karyavada is not tenable at all as per Gaudapada. He wants to prove that, that it's a temporary thing when you are doing a Karya, Karma Yoga or a Yoga Siddhanta which you want to do it, that time you can accept it for the time being, but it is ultimately not tenable upon. Let us look one by one. First one is karma is the cause, Moola Karanam of Sharira, and the body which is representative of the entire creation. That is karma first theory. The first is karma and then the Sharira due to that karma. The first option, that karma is the Moola Karanam for the universe. And Gaudapada says this is not correct, because karma which is giving result to punya and papa, that good results and the bad results, itself can only out of some sharira. Because to do karma, you need a sharira before that. Without a ashariri, if you are not without a body, you cannot do karma. Therefore, the generation of punya and papa is not possible. So good deeds and bad deeds is not possible without a sharira. Therefore, karma first and then the karma giving rise to body is not acceptable. Even Bhagavan cannot create punya papa to generate bodies from. No, that is what Gaudapada is refuting that. Even Ishvara cannot generate punya and papa without a sharira. Otherwise, he will be seen as partial, because the world is full of inequalities and disparities and differentialities. The world cannot produce punya papa because the world is inert, or the world cannot produce punya and papa because it is jada. Only a living body is required for an action which is resulting in the punya and papa. Therefore, karma cannot be the moola karanam for the it's sharira. Without sharira, you cannot do any karma. Okay, then let us say take sharira is the moola karanam, or the root cause, or the fundamental cause for the karma. Body first theory. Here what happens is that if Ishvara gives the jiva a body freely at his whims and fancies, at a time when a first sharira is being created, every body will have a zero karma to start with. There will not be any karma to begin with. Therefore, the karma account starts, and the question here will be, what type of body will Bhagavan or Ishvara give to each jiva? Because the rule is that due to the good karmas and good bad actions, the type of body is being given by the creator Ishvara, is what is the theory says. Now, if we are taking that body is first with zero karma, then everybody should be having equality and there should not be any disparity. All things in the world should be identical. But that such a thing is not possible. It's not happening. The bodies have to be decided by the karma, and the karma is absent zero at the first stage. Bhagavan cannot give body to anyone because the very body is based on karma. Even Ishvara is incapable of giving a body to anyone because there is no method which he can decide which body should be given. Therefore, Shariram cannot be the Moola cause for the effect, for the Sharira. Now let us take Yugapat Srishti, which we explained in one of the earlier verse that is being explained here in detail. Both karma and sharira originate simultaneously like two horns of a cow growing simultaneously, which we have seen that it is impossible. The third option of karma and sharira originating simultaneously, this is not valid because if they originate simultaneously, there cannot be a cause and effect relationship between them. One has to be before to be. The twin brothers cannot have the same cause and effect for each other because both the bodies are there. both the bodies have different karmas, and then their effect of life is different. Therefore, we cannot accept that this is simultaneously is also not possible, or is it a viable prakriya, which is the Vedic thing. Then let us look at the fourth proposal from the Vedic. There are these are all there in the Vedas by different methodologies. They have mentioned it at different times. Karma and Sharira are mutually cause and effect. Karma is born out of Shariram, and Shariram is born out of Karma. This is exactly what was there in the earlier, the tree and the seed, or the seed and the tree, that example which was in that verse is being explained here. That Gaudapada says that this is never possible between two things. If one is a cause and the other is an effect, they cannot reverse the roles. Because the cause cannot become the effect and the effect cannot become the cause. They cannot reverse the role. An effect is always different from the cause. The cause is prior in time and effect and the birth and all. And it has got more than what the effect has got, because the gold, when it is converted into an ornament, we will invariably see that not the entire gold is converted for the ornament. So there will be something left out in the gold which is not converted into ornament. Same way, the cause and effect, effect will be always having something less in either quality or matter or any other aspect, some other aspect, which is there in the cause, which is not 100% transferred there. The cause itself doesn't mutate itself into the effect 100%. That is not possible. For like he is giving here an example is, Rama is born out of Dasharatha, but Dasharatha cannot be born out of Rama again. Therefore, these type of the cause and effect dependency for the cause and effect for mutual creation to become mutually cause and effect is not possible. The karma and sharira, fifth one, is that the fifth and sixth are slightly more tougher to refute, but let us look into that. The karma and sharira are part of a long series, infinite regress series. Karma, sharira, sharira, karma, like that, and so on. The shariram has come out of a karma. That karma has come out of the previous shariram, and that some other shariram, like that, previous, if you go with that, what happens is that we come to a state of there is an infinite regress. So, what happens is that there is a series of creation. Gaudapada says that this formulation is not valid because in this particular series you get an endless, infinite series without a beginning. The first cause is never known. You cannot say Anirvachaniya or even Anadi. The series will have infinite regress with no finality, and the final answer cannot be given because every answer you will still have, what is the cause for it or what is the effect for it. If you are going to the backside, what is the cause for it? You can keep on asking, you will never find an answer. Or if you are going toward the result side, what is the effect? And that effect becomes a cause, then what is the further cause? You can either effect. In either way, in either direction, you get into an infinite regress. So one can never talk about find out what is the root cause. There is nothing called a root cause for such a series because it is infinite regress in nature. How did the particular tree come out cannot be answered because the tree has to have a seed, and seed will have to have a tree like this, which is and this is the fundamental original conundrum for any philosophy, because this root cause, that is why even in the science, you cannot say that they are saying the Big Bang as the beginning of the world. But where did the Big Bang happen? Which space and time it happened? No, space and time was not there. Space and time was created after the Big Bang. So without space and time, where did the Big Bang take place? They cannot be answered. So there will be a problem of the originality of any event happening in time or in causation. And the sixth one is karma sharira series, and it is an anadi. Again, the question of original cause itself is wrong because the series is infinite in nature. And how can this question be being at the beginning can be asked? According to Vedic theory, creation is anadi, karma and anadi karma series. It's an anadi karma series, karma karyana series. Sarira and karma are infinites in series. Gaudapada says that this is fine up to a particular period of time. If you are looking intermediate period, there is a utility for that infinite series. But it is not answering our fundamental question of what is the root cause for our experiences. Our experiences, we can say cause and effect. It is time bound, time and space is there. Where did the time and space started, or what are the like that cause and effect? We cannot say. So it is useful for initial stages of study of Veda, where karma yoga or upasana etc. You need a cause and effect you can explain. But when they go out of that, grow out of the karma yoga and upasana yoga, and they move towards jnana yoga, the theory is not satisfactory because there are a lot of logical fallacies in it. And these two fallacies talked about Gaudapada and asked a question. When you talk about Anadi series, what does it mean? It means beginningless karma or with a beginningless sharira, and says that this is, what is this beginningless, what you are talking about? Are you talking about adjective of sharira or adjective of karma? Which is the beginninglessness? If which this beginningless, to whom does it belong to? Either the sharira should be beginningless or the karma should be beginningless. Which is anadi in your case? Gaudapada is asking this to those who are steadfast on the Vedic thing, karma and sharira and this thing, punya, papa. Basically, the what you call the Purva Mimamsa thing. So he is saying that it is not acceptable because shariram is caused by the previous karma, and it cannot be, therefore anadi cannot go with the sharira, nor can the go with the karma. So there is no such thing as called a series other than individual members, the individual sharira and individual karma by the individual sharira. There is nothing called anadi. So the birthlessness cannot be a statement. Anadi cannot be used as an adjective for either for the sharira or for the karma. But it is only a nomenclature which is used for, just like what example he says is that mix a basket of fruits, that basket of fruits or the fruit salad or whatever may be, some mixed, the Sanskrit example is different, so I cannot use the Sanskrit because we don't come across in our day-to-day life. So what it says that, assuming that you are having a fruit salad. Now fruit salad is not a independent fruit. It is a name given to a situation or a condition where mix of fruits are added together, and you call it as a salad, as a word only, but there is nothing called a independent salad without the fruits. Same way, we cannot say this anadi without karma or sharira, because karma and sharira are independent thing and they cannot be anadi by default, because they have a beginning, they have an end, so they cannot be anadi. So you cannot say anadi karma karana shari is the series which you can say. So grammatically also is not possible. Then there is one more serious fallacy in the whole thing to be understood very carefully. What he says is that It is actually, he is explaining this in the subsequent verse number 30, but we have to bring it here for completing this explanation. If karma series is without a beginning, what is called anadi will be ananta also. That is what Gaudapada says, that Brahman is anadi and ananda. What cannot be created cannot be destroyed also in that case. If karma series is ananda and endless, it has to be anadi also. So therefore what happens is that moksha, which is part of the Vedic belief, that freedom from samsara or freedom from the entanglement of the appearance and experience cycle, that there is no chance for that, because what happens is the karma cycle will never end, and therefore no moksha can happen, because what is the reason is that anadi, what they say is that anadi karma sharira acts is there, but it can end one day. Gaudapada says that line is a problem, because that which has a beginning has an end. One which begins will have an end because it is time bound. When the samsara ends, the end of samsara will mark the beginning of moksha. And if the moksha has a beginning as a time bound thing, when the samsara ends, the moksha takes place. Then Gaudapada says that such a moksha which has a beginning will also have an end. Therefore the cycle of samsara moksha will continue. There will not be nitya mukta, that is that eternal freedom from this ignorance will not happen. How can Veda prescribe srishti, which is moksha is possible? Because if time bound, moksha is a time bound thing after the end of samsara and the beginning of moksha. The beginning, if it is time bound, there will be an end also. Therefore that srishti, what is moksha? Then it's only understanding that srishti is not in Gaudapada's language. What he says that then what is moksha is not a end of samsara and beginning of moksha. It is only an understanding that srishti is not a reality in all three periods of time. There was no creation, there is no need of ending the samsara, no beginning of moksha, no end of moksha, because in all three periods the reality what was explained is nitya shuddha buddha mukta swabhava. That is the reality of the whole thing. Therefore the origination of world has to be negated under all circumstances. There is no logical method in which you can create that the world has really created. Existence of the world has to be negated, therefore, because origination is not possible. Therefore the existence of the world is also not possible. Appearance of the world has to be accepted, because the appearance is because of not knowing that world has no origination. The world has not really created. That is the reason there is an appearance of the world, and appearance giving rise to an experience which is also not real. But when it is not understood, it may appear to be real, and this is because of the avidya, which is a non-apprehension of the reality. You can also call it as maya. Once we understand that the world is mithya or not, it is a appearance and giving rise to an experience, I can claim that I have been all the time not ever under the clutch of avidya, because avidya is something which was not there, because the world was not created. Therefore not knowing the world doesn't arise, and not knowing the world doesn't arise means the experiences also have to be negated, because the world appearing as an appearance also has no reality. So there is no need to work for moksha also. Na muktaha, na bandhaha, none of these things are all valid for the real, the person who has understood that ajatam is the reality. So one should understand that I am satyam, Nitya Mukta, and the world is appearance will never affect my moksha. This appearance have no reality because the world has really not, even for appearance it is not there. Even appearance is due to ignorance, and once you know the reality, the appearance also will go. This is the Gaudabada's Ajadivada. And to conclude this, what it is says that karma is also an appearance, sharidam also is an appearance because of the ignorance of the world. Because the sharidam and karma is part of the world. They are appearances for whom? The one who is a sakshi. So I am able to see the sharira and the karma, etc., as never touching me because they are all part only as appearance. I have only to understand them that I was never the Sharira, I was never embodied to any particular body, therefore I don't have to be freed from those bondages or the karma of that body. This is what is the one thing which Gaudavada is saying that. Later Gaudavada will discuss one more point. If Vedic theory of creation is not a fact, why did Veda comprise the Veda fact and talk about creation? If that is the interesting thing, if that, why is Veda telling a lie? Is Veda telling a lie? No. It is a deliberate compromise because a person cannot accept the idea of no creation in the beginning itself. Because he is so engrossed in the experience and the reality of the experiences. Therefore, for him, that is, we term it as samsara. This apprehension of experiences as reality is the samsara. To take you out of that samsara, you are given the adhyaropa or superimposition of the creation of the sharira and karana and take you out of this. And when you pariksha lokan karmajitan brahmana nirvedamaya nasya kritakrutena, which we have studied, that a stage will come that all this karma, sharira, everything was only to take me out of my by steadfastness to the experiences being real. And when the moment I realized that there was never really a birth for me, never I am born, na jayate na mriyate va katachit, nayam bhutva bhavishava vanabhuya, ajo nitya shashyodoyam puranaha, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When Krishna says that, he is referring to the same thing which Gaudapada's Ajavadavada is telling that. So this Adhyaropa Apavada in the Veda is initially only to take you out of our steadfastness to the experiences being real. Only when you know that there really I was never born, there was never birth for me, what I am only the witness to these events, and that is Evasya Swabhava. It is the nature of awareness, things to come in awareness and appear and disappear in awareness. The appearance and disappearance of the objects in the awareness, I call it as cause and effect. And the cause and effect is nothing but appearances. And if it is giving rise to experiences, those experiences are also appearances, like it is not real. And the moment you realize that, then there is no samsara, there is no moksha, no muktaha, na bandhur, na mukti, nothing. All those, na veda, etra veda, aveda bhavati, everything. That the whole theory of the Veda also is only for releasing you. So that is a method of Adhyaropa Apavada used by the Vedas, not for really giving you to believe it in the creation and the process of creation. So that is how I'll stop it today, and from the 24th verse we will take up in the Friday's class. Let us see how the question answer session goes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.